What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some battles in the Open Great League with 3 more buff Pokemon, and I'm sure you've already seen Dusknoir featured on other channels by now, but that's not the focus of this video. Instead, we're going to be focusing on the 2 bug and flying type Pokemon that got buffed with Air Cutter, previously one of the worst high energy charge attacks in the game, which is now a 35 energy bait move, and it has the chance to boost the user's attack by 1 stage. Now I'm not going to lie, Masquerain and Beautifly are still very much far away from being meta Pokemon, but they are certainly much more usable now, and if you get a few boosts, they can actually start to get out of hand. With that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. Which move update do you think has had a pretty insignificant impact on the meta as a whole, but one that you've personally enjoyed this season? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Let's go into the first battle, leading Shadow Dusknoir into Shadow Kanto Marowak. Now, of course, Mud Slap and the Bone Clubs are going to be triple resisted on the Masquerain and the Beautifly. However, that is a very risky catch because if the opponent does not throw straight away, Rock Slide would hit for double super effective damage. We're able to bait out a Lapras. We are just going to no shield here. I am running Lunge, so maybe it would have made sense to shield the first charge move, go for a Lunge, debuff their attack, and that way I would be able to live the next move more comfortably. But we go for the Lunge there, and unfortunately, we are actually not able to reach an Air Cutter, so forced to come in with the Dusknoir, go straight for a Shadow Punch. Shadow Punch will be enough damage to get the KO from that range. They come in with a Sableye, however, so I'm going straight for Shadow Punch. Shadow Punch is going to be shielded by the opponent. Now we're going to swap into our Beautifly, and the opponent throws on poor timing, giving me a full infestation in for free. They full send the Dazzling Gleam, which is a little bit overkill, but speaking of overkill, I'm going straight for Bug Buzz here. Air Cutter, not going to do too much damage, but Bug Buzz gets the one shot. We come back in with the Sableye. I'm going to go straight for the Air Cutter this time around. Air Cutter grabs the final shield, and we get the attack boost, and now these infestations are absolutely chunking. We can go straight for Air Cutter number 2. Air Cutter gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's to open there into the next battle. We're going to see Shadow Dusknoir into a Malamar. So, of course, got 2 bug-type Pokemon in the back. Going to say swap into my Masquerain. Unfortunately, not running Infestation on the Masquerain. It does learn Infestation. And someone did mention that they would have liked to see Infestation get a, well, basically the exact same buff that Hex got, because previously they were clones of each other. But unfortunately, that is not the case. So, unfortunately, not the best in terms of energy generation or damage. We opted for Air Slash just because Bug is the single most resisted typing in the entire game. So I do want to have somewhat coverage with my Masquerain save swap, but either way, we are going to come in with the Dusknoir, go straight for the Shadow Punch. Shadow Punch gets the KO. We're going to swap immediately into Beautifly, and unfortunately, they are just barely able to outpace me to that charge move. The opponent goes for a foul play before swapping into a Diggersby. Now, we are going for an Air Cutter bait here. I'm hoping to grab a shield and get the boost. We get the shield, and we do get that boost, and now Bug Buzz is going to do monstrous damage. I'm going to shield up the Fire Punch here. I'm going to go straight for the Bug Buzz. If the opponent does not shield this, it's going to do big damage up against the Diggersby. We also drop the defense. I tried to catch a Fire Punch there. It does not work out. The opponent holds onto the energy, fires off the Scorching Sands there. The opponent's going to swap back into Malamar. I'm going to farm up 2 back-to-back charge moves, actually farming up a little bit more than that. We go for the Shadow Punch. I'm not in range where they can quick attack farm me down either, so I'm going to go for another Shadow Punch here. Shadow Punch is going to be shielded by the Diggersby, and I probably could have committed to the Dynamic Punch there. But either way, we go for a Shadow Punch. Shadow Punch does not get the KO. We swap into our Beautifly. I think that might also be a mistake there because the opponent goes for Fire Punch, and now it's just a race of resisted damage, and Dusknoir just barely able to deal enough damage to get the Hex farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG top on there. Into next battle, see a Galarian Weezing in the lead. So, of course, could be on Brutal Swing, and they would actually outpace me to the first charge move if they are on Brutal Swing. I'm going to go for a Shadow Punch there, grab a shield from the opponent. They have farmed up a ton of energy, so I think the safe play is just a shield, respect the damage. They go for a Sludge there, so that's fine. And now I'm going to go for a Shadow Punch immediately here, just because I want to get off this charge move straight away. The opponent now going to go for another charge move. At this point, I've grabbed both shields from the opponent. Sludge doesn't quite take us out there. I realize I'm probably not going to reach a charge move. So swap into Masquerain. This could be an overheat, and the opponent does full send the overheat, so that is a huge call from me there. But they come in with a Galarian Moltres, so we're going straight for Lunge. Lunge, going to debuff their attack. Unfortunately, doesn't really do that much damage, and the opponent able to reach an Ancient Power. And of course, Ancient Power going to hit for double super effective damage. Easily gets the one shot there. And of course, Beautifly not going to be able to tank an Ancient Power either, so we've got to make a catch here, and we are going to swap. We are perfectly able to catch a charge move. The opponent goes for Ancient Power there. Ancient Ranger Power gets the KO. We are going to see the opponent swap us back into their Weezing. I'm going straight for the Air Cutter. Air Cutter gets the KO. We don't get the boost, which is unfortunate. And actually, that's pretty impactful because a Bug Buzz with that boost probably takes out a Blastoise from this range, but unfortunately, with no boost, it doesn't do enough damage. But either way, the rollouts had done enough damage there to the point where they could have just come in with the Moltres and farmed me down, and I would have lost the game anyways. But GG's to that opponent there. Into next battle, we see Morpeko in the lead. So Morpeko, very tricky to deal with. Usually, I say swap into Masquerain, but there's just no point in doing that when we've got Air Slash because they will just very easily beat me there. So instead, we swap into our Beautifly, and the opponent comes in with a Shadow Kanto Marowak. So we've seen already a Bug Buzz would do huge damage in this matchup. The opponent might not respect the damage this time around, so I'm going to go and fire off a Bug Buzz, and unfortunately it is shielded by the opponent. So at this point, I am going to no shield the opponent, goes for Rock Slide, easily taking us out there. We're going to come in with the Masquerain, and I'm going to try and catch the next Rock Slide onto my Dusknoir. The opponent Rock Slides there. They're going to swap back into Morpeko, and they will outpace me to the charge move, but they're going to overfarm. I don't mind that. I'm going to fire off the Dynamic Punch. Dynamic Punch grabs the final shield from the opponent. They do continue to overfarm here. The opponent finally throws a Psychic Fangs to get the KO there. I realize an Air Cutter probably wouldn't take them out from that range, so I'm going to shield the charge move. The opponent again baits with a Psychic Fangs. Bit unfortunate there, but now I think I've put them into Air Cutter range. So we go for the Air Cutter. Air Cutter does get the KO up against Morpeko. We get the boost. They come back in with Marowak, and they realize they're going to get farmed down. So they swap into their final Pokemon, a Serperior. We go for Lunge. That does huge damage. It drops their attack, and that should allow me to very comfortably live an Aerial Ace from this range, go for the Air Slash farm down up against the Marowak, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's top, and they're into the next battle. We see a Grumpig in the lead, so my entire team should do fairly well here, but the opponent's going to say swap into Morpeko, and we've said this already. Morpeko, very problematic for this team. I'm going to shield the first charge move. Again, they bait with a Psychic Fangs there, so definitely not ideal, but we're also going to bait. We're going to go for an Air Cutter, and if I can get one boost here, I should be able to Infestation, farm them down, but I don't get the boost. However, I do end up winning CMP, which is very cool. Beautifly grabs the final shield. At this point, I can't afford to double shield, as they will outpace me to the next charge move, or possibly just fully farm me down there before I reach the next charge move. So at this point, we are going to let the Beautifly go down, come in with the Dusknoir. Unfortunately, gonna have to shield this as well. Probably gonna be another bait, to be honest, and it is another bait there, which is unfortunate. But either way, the opponent's gonna swap into a Wigglytuff, so we go straight for Dynamic Punch. I will then be swapping into my Masquerain here, and hoping that I will be able to put them into Air Cutter range, and we are just barely able to reach the Air Cutter on the CMP tie with a Swift. Air Cutter gets the KO. The opponent comes back in with the Grumpig. Can we reach the Lunge in time? We are actually able to do so, but the opponent clearly overfarming here. So Lunge, gonna debuff their attack there, which is very nice. They then swap back into Morpeko. That's actually a really nice play there, because now they've got the energy advantage. They can go straight for Aura Will if they're running it, and Aura will be getting the KO there, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG's up on there. Into the next battle, we see Ariados in the lead. So this is fine with me, but the opponent's going to say swap into Azumarill. So I'm going to stay in with my Dusknoir, of course. Bug is resisted by the Fairy typing. So we go for the Shadow Punch there, and we are able to reach a second Shadow Punch before the opponent throws a charge move. Shadow Punch number 2 is going to be no shielded, and we are just one hex away from another Shadow Punch. So I will be shielding this. They go for an Ice Beam. That's fine with me. I'm going to overfarm throw on the CMP tie here, and we go for Shadow Punch number 3. The opponent no shields once again. We get the KO there, but they come in with a Feraligatr. So we're going straight for Shadow Punch once again, and then I will swap into my Masquerain. No, never mind. I swap into my Beautifly because I can outpace them to a charge move before they reach the Ice Beam. Air Cutter does big damage. We get the boost. And this one I'm thinking, you know what? Because they threw immediately and they full send the Ice Beam, that is perfectly fine with me. I'm now going to fire for an Air Cutter. We are boosted. The opponent has to shield this up. Otherwise, it will do huge damage. We grab the final shield there, and we should still be able to tank this, whatever they throw. So the opponent goes for a Lunge. I am able to tank it. I'm going to bank a charge move, then swap into my Masquerain. Now, I know the opponent probably on Trailblaze and Lunge, so Lunge is going to be resisted damage. That's absolutely fine with me. We can go for an Air Cutter. We are debuffed, but they should still get the KO anyways. Air Cutter does take them out, and even if I didn't reach a charge move here, we've got the Air Cutter loaded on my Beautifly, and we easily win CMP, but we're able to reach the Air Cutter anyways, get an unnecessary boost. I'm able to take out for Alligator, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's top end there. Into the next battle, we see Galarian Weezing in the lead once again. And once again, they don't throw immediately. So, I don't know if this means they don't have Brutal Swing or if they're just not throwing immediately to throw me off. But either way, we are going to shield this up here. We've got them fairly low already. And they do go for Brutal Swing. So, I swap into my Masquerain, trying to catch the next Brutal Swing. However, the opponent is going to overfarm. I thought it could be an overheat. So, I did play it safe. I used my shield there. Unfortunately, it was just a sludge, which would still do a lot of damage. They come in with a Guzzlord and they don't shield the lunge. That does big damage, more damage than I was expecting. They're able to reach a charge move, but it's just a Dragon Claw. I debuffed them. I'm able to come out with a lunge loaded, and now I can fire it off into the Sableye coming in. However, Sableye, especially with all shields down, is going to be very tricky for us to deal with. So we're going to come in with a Beautifly. I will be able to reach an Air Cutter before they can reach a Dazzling Gleam or a Power Gem if they're running it. We go for the Air Cutter. No boost this time around. And unfortunately, you can see I tried to make a CMP tie sack swap there. It doesn't work out as we basically just fully sacrifice the Dusknoir without getting off any energy. That hugely backfires. The opponent then makes a really nice catch there. We get the boost, but if I was able to Infestation farm down the Weezing there, could have maybe came out with a Bug Buzz loaded. So actually just really nice play on the opponent's end, poor play on my end, but we do lose that game there. But GG's top opponent there. Into the next battle, we see a Talonflame in the lead. So this is not really ideal for me. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't just go straight for a Shadow Punch there. But either way, the opponent's going to swap into Azumarill. And yeah, this is just looking really tricky for me. Of course, I have to keep my bugs away from that Talonflame. But also, they're not going to do particularly well up against Azumarill either. Unless we can get a boost, which we're not able to do so. At this point, I'm thinking, you know what? I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get the KO here with the Air Cutter. I'm going to throw on the CMP tie with the Ice Beam. Please, please, please do enough damage to get the KO. Air Cutter doesn't do enough damage, and again, we don't get a boost. So at this point, I definitely cannot afford to shield this. I'm going to have to let the Ice Beam take us out. Come in with the Dusknoir, get the Hex farm down. They come back in with the Talonflame. They're already at charge move. This is really not looking good for me at all. They go for the fly. I'm going to go for the Shadow Punch here after one Hex, and then I realize I can go for one more Hex, go for another Shadow Punch, and I am at back-to-back charge moves. So we've got to think, are they going to go for the extra Incinerate? And they do. And if I'd have gone for an extra Hex here, you're going to see Shadow Punch probably puts them into Hex farm down range. And that is really unfortunate because the opponent comes out with the Brave Bird. They easily one-shot the Beautifly there. Obviously, I don't know what they had in the back. Maybe they had something weak to the bug or the flying typing, and I could have won that game. But unfortunately, of course, if I didn't throw that Shadow Punch straight away and the opponent opted to just fire off a fly, I would have lost anyway. So either way, GG's top opponent there. Into the next battle, we see a Shadow Sableye here. We're going to come in with the Beautifly, go for the Air Cutter. Air Cutter is going to be shielded by the opponent, and I'm already at Air Cutter number 2. Air Cutter number 2 grabs the shield, and we actually get the boost as well. So at this point, I think I'm going to double shield here. Go for that Air Cutter immediately because we're boosted. This will get the KO. And if they come back in with the Primeape, they will not be able to go for a full farm down here. We get a second boost, and this is just going to guarantee that Air Cutter easily gets the one shot here up against the Primeape, and the opponent's going to have a Steelix in the back. So honestly, I have no idea why they didn't just come in with the Steelix there. But either way, it's going to be game over. Dynamic Punch is going to do big damage up against the Steelix. And just in case they're on crunch, I do swap out of that matchup. Doesn't really make a difference at this point. No one charge move will be taken out the Masquerain. It's just a Psychic Fangs. One more Air Slash would get the KO. So the opponent just concedes the match there. So, GG's top on there. Into the next battle, we see a Scrafty in the lead. So, not really ideal for me. Get a safe swap into my Masquerain, and the opponent comes in with a Toxapex. So, this isn't that bad for me, but we're going to go straight for an Air Cutter there. Air Cutter is going to get the boost, and now these Air Slashes are doing a lot more damage here. Air Cutter going to do more damage as well. Air Cutter number 2, no shielded once again. At this point, I'm going to shield this up here, and I will be able to reach another Air Cutter before they do reach another Brine. Unfortunately, they will reach another Charge Move before I can farm them down. So Air Cutter number 2 grabs the shield there, and the opponent firing off a Charge Move. But I realize, of course, we're going to have Dynamic Punch on the Dusknoir with an energy advantage. Or actually, no, never mind. I completely forget that. We're going to come in with the Beautifly instead, and they've got a Whiscash. So Beautifly is going to core break their team here. So we can go straight for Bug Buzz. Bug Buzz does big damage. I swap into my Dusknoir, baiting back out the Scrafty, but it doesn't really matter because we've got Dynamic Punch for coverage. Dynamic Punch easily gets the one shot there. They come back in with the Whiscash. I can just safely no shield whatever they throw. They go for a Mud Bomb there. Doesn't do too much damage. The opponent will reach a second Mud Bomb, but I can just shield this up, go for a full Hex farm down. I don't need the Beautifly anymore. Hex gets the farm down up against the Whiscash, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's top on there into next battle. We see a Mandibuzz in the lead. So of course Mandibuzz is definitely a core breaker to this team. We swap and unfortunately met with a Galarian Stunfisk. So possibly the worst combination of Pokemon we could see so far, as of course they're going to completely wall the energy. At least with the lunge, I'm going to debuff their attack, meaning Rock Slide will no longer get the KO. However, maybe that's even slightly worse for me, just because now they can farm up so much energy. It doesn't matter how many times I debuff them there, they can just eventually swap out, and that Mandibuzz is still going to be very problematic for my team. But either way, they go for a Rock Slide there. We're going to come in with the Dusknoir, and they swap into their final Pokemon, a Tropius. So I bank a Charge Move before swapping into Beautifly. Unfortunately, Air Cutter, whilst it is going to hit for super effective damage, I will require at least 2 of them, maybe even 3 of them, to get the KO if I don't get a boost here. So we go for the first Air Cutter. Air Cutter actually does quite a lot of damage there, so only need 1 more Air Cutter, but no boost unfortunately. So Air Cutter number 2 does get the KO there. Again, still no boost. I'm gonna have to shield this, as it will be a Rock Slide. Rock Slide would easily one-shot us. We've still not grabbed a shield from the opponent. They swap back into Mandibuzz. I am able to hold on to the energy, fire off the Dynamic Punch. Again, no shield used by the opponent. We've no longer got any shields left. Foul Play doesn't quite take us out there, so I can't reach another Dynamic Punch, but it doesn't really matter at this point. Again, no shields by the opponent. The opponent is just trying to 2-shield flex against me, and unfortunately, you're going to see Air Cutter does not get the KO. This 2-shield flex is going to pay off for the opponent. The opponent goes for a Foul Play there. They are absolutely just messing with me right now. They're still able to reach a Rock Slide on the Stunfisk, and Rock Slide gets the KO there, and we do lose that game. But GG's up there into the final battle of this video, leading into a Grumpig, so a great lead matchup for me. The opponent's going to swap into a Sucker Punch Belly Bolt, and unfortunately, this is a pretty awkward core breaker for my team, so I don't really know what to do. I'm going to stay in, grab a shield there up against the Belly Bolt, and now I'm going to have to shield this up here. The opponent goes for a Parabolic Charge, and Parabolic Charge, I don't know if you see it here, but I think they did actually buff their defense. We go for Dynamic Punch, and that would have done more damage if they hadn't already buffed themselves. But either way, gonna shield again as they go for another Parabolic Charge, and they buff their defense again. But that actually gives me more farm to get the Infestation farm down, and let's see what their final Pokemon is. They come in with a Low Kicks, and that's absolutely fine with me. We can go straight for Air Cutter. Air Cutter grabs a shield there. We don't get the boost, but it doesn't really matter. We can fire off the Bug Buzz. Bug Buzz is going to easily get the one-shot there. We're now going to swap into our Masquerain, and unfortunately this is not as dominant as you might think it is, as the opponent can outpace us to that first charge move. Shadow Ball does huge damage. We can fire off the Lunge. Lunge, of course, going to hit for super effective damage. It debuffs their attack there, and it does put them into farm down range, but we've got to be a little bit careful about what we do here. We come in with the Beautifly. We're able to Infestation farm them down, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.